So lesson number two, what types of properties to target, right? I get this question a lot and I want to talk a little bit about it. And so this is lesson number two. And before we get started, just want to refresh your memory. If you have any questions, please email me at info@mosesthementor.com. Here we go. So what type of properties to target? Let's go ahead and start. All right. So what I want to make very clear, right, is we're going to talk about square footage, right? So square footage, when it comes to investing in for Section 8, it matters. And it matters because I want you guys to be very smart on what type of property you buy. A three-bedroom home with 1,200 square feet is going to rent for the same price that a three-bedroom with 2,200 square feet will rent for. Granted that they both are in the same zip code. So, what you want to make sure that you're doing is that you find a property that it's functional. Now you don't want to buy something so tight because then tenants won't be attracted to it, and even if they are, they'll get in and then they're like, oh, I can't wait to get up out of here, right? It needs to be a functional layout. But at the end of the day, you don't need to say, I need this big place, right? Because a few things happen, right? Number one, on the front end, you're going to pay more for the property because it's a larger property. But number two is that you're going to have higher renovation costs because typically all renovation budgets are going to be based off the number of square footage in a home. So I learned that the hard way. Do not do that, right, and learn from my mistakes. So you want to make sure that you buy, like, the sweet spot in my particular market where I invest in Cleveland is that I can get a three-bedroom, one bath for about 1,300 square feet, and it works perfect for a small family, right? Now, prior to having this understanding, where I didn't understand that the rent was based off of the bedroom size and also the zip code, I was thinking, okay, well, a bigger home, I can charge more. No, it doesn't. Stick to what I pretty much outlined, which is, hey, focus on the number of bedrooms and focus on where it's located. Well, really, where it's located first, and then the number of bedrooms. But we'll talk a whole lot more about that. So let me get some of my bullets up here and then we talk because a lot of times I'll skip ahead anyway, right? So number of bedrooms and zip code. So the second and fourth bullet, that determines the actual rent amount. There's so many lessons to go and we'll get into it, but just trust me at this moment if you're watching it in order, which you should be. The location by zip code, not by city, the zip code and then the number of bedrooms, right? So then you just have to be smart about it. So I have something here as far as the number of bathrooms. Okay, why do you need two bathrooms? Why look for a home with two bathrooms? You're going to get the same exact rent. Having two bathrooms is not going to give you more rent. Focus on having one bathroom. If you find one and a half, cool, right? But don't fall in love with the concept of having multiple bathrooms. In the future, if you wanted to sell the home and that was just an attractive add on, then pay the expense at that point to add an additional bath. Maybe you can put it in the basement or something like that. But right now, in this program, it's about buying properties that will cash flow and that you will keep for the long term. So my goal is to always get one bathroom, 3 to 4 bedrooms, but I've found that 3 bedrooms is really the sweet spot. Um, it's not as big of a difference in rent, in my experience, from 3 to 4 bedrooms. It is a difference, but I wouldn't overpay. It has to really make sense. And we'll go into analyzing properties in later lessons, but 3 to 4 bedrooms with one bathroom. Listen to me, I promise you. One bathroom is sufficient. And that's normally you can get away with that anywhere between 1,100 square feet on the low end to maybe up to 1,500 square feet. Once you start getting bigger than that, you got to really look at the ROI, right? Because again, if something were to happen with the property and you have to get a quote and it's based on square footage, you want that quote to be as low as possible. Hey, you need to paint. Hey, you need new flooring. Hey, you need new trim. If you're working with a home 1,100 square feet, it's a whole lot easier to stomach that versus one that's 3,000 square feet. Understand? Hopefully that's clicking because again, if there was an added financial benefit of doing it, I promise you I would tell you to go the other route. But you really just need to make sure the home is in the right area, somewhere safe for your tenant, that it has the right number of bedrooms, and that you're not overpaying with excess square footage or extra bathrooms when realistically you're only getting paid based off the two factors of location and bedrooms. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about pros and cons of retail versus off-market deals. So I want to tell you that my initial stance on this was retail. Partly because, when you're just new, you don't have a network. You don't have a list of people that can find off market deals for you, right? So you can absolutely do what I do by going the retail route. The issue is that the return on investment, it will take some time to get your money back, right? You're going to have to pay a down payment, which is going to be, 20 to 25% of the property. And that money is baked into the home for some time. It's the equity inside the home. But until the actual property appreciates and the balance goes down, you're not going to be able to pull that equity out. So I have several properties right now that I'm looking forward to actually pulling that equity out because I purchased them at retail. And it's been several years, and fortunately the properties have appreciated, but I've had to wait these years to get that investment back. When you go the off market route, you would need to have a firm understanding on how to evaluate properties, renovation budgets. You would need to have someone who can do the work. You would need a pipeline of deals to review. So there's just several factors that I don't want someone who's not familiar with that side of the business to feel like they have to sit on the sideline. But what I will say is that you shouldn't live in the retail space forever. You could potentially start there, get better. You're already in my program, so you're going to be great. Get better, get your feet wet. But at some point, to go to that black belt status, you have to graduate to off market deals because the velocity of money, it just makes sense. You put your money in and you're able to pull your money out within 6 months. It just makes a whole lot more sense versus putting money in and having to wait 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So just think about it from that perspective. You can start retail, but you definitely at some point want to shift to an off market strategy, but you need to establish a team that can assist you with that. And by all means, I can help, but I'm not an expert in every market, but I can give you best practices on how to actually do that. So that makes sense.